Okay. I want us now to gravitate this discussion on different issues. And of course, this is on from the front page of the Standard this morning. Shocking report on 133 useless courses. Damning report by state regulator of university education rejects courses for which thousands are enrolled, sparking protest from institutions' managers. And this story is tucked on page 6 and 7 of the Standard. If you have a Standard today, it just brings to the fore the question about you know, the courses that we have in our institutions right now, because I think if this will actually affect some of the people who, or the students who've already enrolled, then this can be really appalling. But the question of skill sets and matching skills from our graduates and the labor market also comes to the fore. And I think this is what now the Commission for University of Education is proposing, that the academic programs that fail to attract students be scrapped, you know, after 4 good years. And this will affect some of them that actually are taking the courses right now. But it brings to the fore the question of, as I've mentioned, skill, you know, skill sets and the labor market, because a lot of also, you know, people from all the employers are really crying foul about the sort of graduates that we have in the market currently. Maybe it's a high time we start now having such a discussion on the curriculum from our universities. Are they in tandem with what also the job market is offering? True. Right? I don't know. Let's begin with you, Kabando Kabando.
You know, this has been a very loud debate.
Yes.
And mostly because of certain areas that were neglected, that were supposed to be the forefront, particularly areas of sciences, and more specifically, technical skills. This debate has taken more of political interpretations of what is required to be done. Knowledge is about such of diversity of skills. History is very important. Engineering is equally important. Now, what we should be asking ourselves is whether those that we have produced have been tapped by the market.
Yes.
We have engineers. Are we employing our engineers to execute the national duties that we see happening because of the, you know, our speed in industrialization? We are producing a lot of nurses. We have a lot of KMTCs across the country.
Yes.
I think now every county has 1 or 2 Kenya medical training colleges. Are we assimilating all of them in the job market? Teachers, okay? We have teachers training colleges, both public and private. All right? Are we assimilating all of them in the job market? The fact is, no. We have very many graduates,
yes,
doctors, engineers, you know, historians, geographers who have not been assimilated in the job market.
Yes.
So I personally hold the view that a country that invests in education in a strategic way invests in diversity.
Yes.
For instance, when you go to the university, it will be abnormal to find 90% focus on one sector just because that particular season demands of skills in that particular, from that particular sector. So when you go to University of Nairobi, for instance, my alma mater, you need to see a very powerful history department, a very powerful architectural department, ADD, okay, with the quantity surveyors, engineers, and so on and so forth. So what are these useless courses that are being talked about? And how useless are they? You know, like if I look at the Daily Nation today, the sub-headline on top there is about the history. You have committed 2 full pages, page 10 and page 11, about the history of Kenya. Since the hanging of Dedan Kimathi 62 years ago. Do we need our children and our children's children and posterity to know about their country, where the country has come from? Of course, yes. Do we need to archive the knowledge and the events of Kenya, the making of Kenya, the shapers of the Republic? I saw yesterday a resolution being made in Kisumu that they want to put a monument in memory of the founding Vice President of the Republic, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. That's very important. You see, we have seen increasingly with, regions like now we have Koitalel University. Its council was just being launched the other day. I think it has been launched. They are founding it. It's very important for that region. We have seen Dedan Kimathi in the part of Nyeri. Murang'a, I think they were moving towards getting a Kennedy Matiba University. You have Jaramogi Omasida Muriru. So some people have spoken about, I'm a student of history, grew up to the even university. And I know one of the most important things that grows a country is national pride. People having self-importance spirit as a country. Right. Self-appreciation. Yeah. That is what brings sovereign pride. That's why we are talking about, though we are friends to Uganda and Rwanda and Somalia, the Kenyan interest. You see, even in the European Union, the British who are one of the...
That is just a slice on the whole debate about, courses like history. Yeah, but if we bring it now to the fore and the current situation right now, are they in tandem with what the market is offering?
Exactly. Yeah? What we should be asking, and I said before, is those that you are producing in all these other sectors, have they been assimilated? Okay.
In the first place.
Okay. Yes. In the first place. We have, what is some of the most expensive, or not the most important, expensive courses in the university. Architecture is very expensive to produce an architecture student. I think it's nearly 7 years to produce a medical student. Have we assimilated them? They are very useful.
Thank you. Let's hear from Alice.
Okay. First and foremost, I see that Parliament will be meeting over this question on Friday. That is the Education Committee. I don't know why they are meeting on a Friday, because mainly we meet between Tuesday and Thursday. But nevertheless, they appear to be a scheduled meeting, and I think it's a very timely meeting. If this is the headline, if this headline is correct, to come out suddenly for the University Commission, University Commission on Education, to tell the country that there are 133 courses in our universities where the students are already attending, parents have invested time and resources, I think that is reckless. For me, it is reckless. I want to say that because if you look at most of the basic education courses in the university, or the basic degree, the first degree, it is basically a foundation. And therefore, for me, I think, and when you graduate, you are told that you have been given the power to read. Many of us, after the first degree, what we did is a lot of either practice, experience, then you now kind of become founded. So I don't think it is going to be accepted for students who are already going, because it's not their mistake. They entered the universities on admission. So first and foremost, if there is a problem, the blame must be placed where it is. How did this happen? Universities clearly have become very commercial, and I want to say this with a lot of due respect. They have been piling courses and courses on students. We have said we need to transit as many students even to the universities, to the secondary schools, higher education, but it has been commercialized. So, but you cannot wake up one morning and now say you are going to affect students who have been admitted. I don't think Parliament will approve that kind of a situation. Secondly, I see, commissions, even like the TSC and the Ministry of Education, they work at cross purpose. There is a lot of conflict, muscle flexing. You have seen even the National Art Commission with the Ministry of Land. There is a lot of muscle flexing and sibling rivalry that has affected even implementation. I smell a rat here. I see a situation where the Commission is trying now to unsettle universities without being sensitive to the persons to be affected. True, we really need to offer courses that are relevant, that are making sense, that we don't just invest so that you can have a degree. But you cannot wake up and say one morning, these are useless. Because, what does that mean to a student who is in year 3 or year 4?
Thank you.
Yeah, because these courses will then be asked. The market will ask, what are these courses? So that tomorrow when I go as a student to ask for a job, I'll be told, but you are a degree. you did those useless courses. I think it is very reckless, seriously. But we must trim, in fact, we must eliminate those which are irrelevant, because like even what is happening in the law school. Let me make this point, Dubai. At the law school, I did 3 years. Of course, I also did, like maybe Akina, my colleagues here, for 3 years at the university, but 1 year in the law school. But now the law school is offering 1 year and 6 months. But when you look at the kind of failure rate that is coming from law school, where you just come out with a diploma, and these are university students, then there is a problem. There is a big problem. Why would I fail in the law school to the point of 82% failure and only 12% or 17% that passes? Who is the problem here?
Maybe, but before we have these particular courses, and we have the commissioner himself, or the commissioner for university, waking up and saying we should scrap this, I thought the approval first he presented to the commission, right? So the people who gave the thumbs up before they went full steam ahead.
There is inspection of the facilities.
Thank you.
Before I comment on that, Mheshimiwa Alice raised the issue of law. A complaint that has come to the Kenya Diaspora Alliance is foreign laws, Kenyan students who go and study law outside in the UK, some of them more prestigious institutions than our own globally.
Yes.
And then they come and then they are put through some process, and somebody insists they must go to a particular university to offer those courses. You wonder whether this is something that's being done because it's right or because of other reasons. But having said that, I think more fundamentally, Kenya's greatest, although we have discovered oil and we have some gold, I would want to say that Kenya's true oil and gold, it's human capital. The human capital that we have, whether it's lawyers or journalists or engineers or accountants, we have some of the best, not just in the region, but globally. I keep wondering, why have we never come up with a national human capital development and deployment plan? I raised this issue once to the former planning minister, late Henry Obuocha, God rest his soul in peace, that why don't we have one, knowing that this is our real gold and oil. And in this particular regard, I must say I have a lot of great respect to the people at the helm of CWE, the Commission for University Education, Professor Chacha Nyaigoti and Professor Mwenda Ntarangwi, who himself is a diaspora returnee. It's well known that even in the US, the average Kenyan born in the US is better educated than the average American. How do we tap this knowledge skill? And the world is talking about knowledge economy, knowledge societies. In fact, I do know that there's already a knowledge society registered in Kenya that's planning maybe later in the year to have the Knowledge Week. Obviously, we need to get our knowledge sector, our think tanks right. And in this particular regard, why do I want to agree with CWE? I do know that they proposed that let's not have lecturers who don't have PhDs.
Yes.
I think if we're going to be excellent, knowing that this is already our strategic advantage that we have, obviously let's go that way. That's if we want to be a first-class world, there are things we can't run away from. There is one thing that Mheshimiwa Waziri Matiang'i tried to do, and I was saddened that he didn't complete it. Cleaning our educational system. We have too many degrees, we have too many PhDs and so on, we have too many professors who don't merit being what they are.
Thank you.
This is an area we need to clear. So for me, I support what's happening, but it's got to be done within a structure and a context. And above all else, I see an answer, a national conversation in almost every major Kenyan problem. Let CWE not do it on its own. Let there be dialogue.
Let's say from Honorable Pogisio, because also you come from the academia, and looking also at what was on the front page of the Star, I think a week earlier, that APRO, that we have 80% of law students, LSK say they cannot really approve, their credentials. They say this is a failure rate, 80%. What do we have to say on the current state of play also in academia? I think it is questionable.
Yeah, thank you very much. And for the School of Law, they should be able to track backwards to the curriculum in the universities offering law. In those universities, what kind of students, what kind of teachers they have, and so on. Because if they can pass the 4-year course and then just fail a lot when they go to the School of Law, there must be something that could be investigated. My take on the Commission for University Education and their role, I like to insist that they need this is a look in the mirror for them. Because they are the ones, who really, new universities are starting, for example. Why can't we get it right in those new universities? Even if the old ones have old problems. Why all these new ones which started 10 years ago, under their watch, should have got it right in terms of curriculum, got it right in terms of the requirements for the lecturers, got it right in terms of facilities and equipment, so that we can at least have standardized universities. But now we've allowed the market to run the universities, and the quality of education developed, and I've been there, as you know. The quality of education comes from the fact that a lot of our students are taught by people who are not hired by those universities. A lot of freelancing people, you know, who carry home a lot of your documents and so on. A lot of freelancing lecturers whose qualifications are very dubious. And so what are we going to look at? You find somebody is teaching in universities all over Kenya, one person, you know, moonlighting everywhere. So we think we need to rethink as what is our education going to be now on the issue of PhDs.
Yes.
On the issue of the quality of our masters. You know, somebody with a master's degree, Dibal, should be able actually to research for the professors, should be able to teach classes at the university. But now you're finding we're getting, now we're graduating so many that you can't even do the things that you used to do when you did your masters. What's happening to our education? What's happening to the quality of education? Finally, every county wants to have a university. And so we're going to have probably, even Pokot now, we're going to think of having a university named probably after a famous
Kapengurius University.
Or Lotodo. You know.
Or Pogisio.
Yes. And we find that let's name the universities for what it provides. You cannot have a university of, it's called Pogisho University of Science and Technology, and you find that the science and technology part is so tiny, it doesn't support the name of that university.
Right.
You know, so let's get it right. And the Commission for University Education just needs to know that they are the ones who approve every course, approve every list of professors. They are the ones who do all those things. Maybe they don't have capacity. Maybe we should help them with capacity. But we should, and again, as Shem always says, this is not an uncharted territory. This is not in reinventing the wheel. I mean, this is something which already goes on all over the world. Thank you.
Perhaps also the professor is trying actually to, you know, mop up what was left by the previous or the predecessor, Professor Some, as well. Now that we are seeing all this were approved and I'm finding them to be bogus, now we can even a bit cut him the slack this morning, because we don't know from what point actually he's coming from as well. Let's hear from Richard Anyongo.
For me, I really endorse what all our colleagues have said here. But if you go to the standard on page 6 and you look at the audit which was done,
yes,
very interesting expose here. You says the audit exposed how universities in their haste to mint cash from huge enrollments misrepresented their capacity both in resources and in teaching staff. Dibal, the problem you have with university education, and indeed, I want to talk about the education sector. And it is true that former Minister for Education, Matiang'i, when he was trying to clean up from the lower levels, the problem you have today in the Kenyan education sector is knowledgeable to us. We actually know what the issues are. If you look at it, number one, there is no standardization. Even if you take somebody who's learning, let me use a very basic linguistics class in Maseno University and take another one who is at Coast University, you'll find that both the students are actually not learning the same subject. All right? So we messed up with the standardization of our subjects. Number two, look at where we are right now. The government is saying we are going to have 100% transition. The people actually who now need to be hired most, the people who now need to be given jobs are teachers. Because the enrollment that is taking place in these schools that we have right now in our local areas, the enrollment has gone by 500%, 800%. A school which used to have 400 students has now 1,600 students. We are not talking about where the teachers are. We are not talking about the training of these teachers. We are actually not even engaged. So imagine the students who are going to go on Form 1 with this transition and go up to Form 4, do you expect these students to have been taught and for them to have become versatile to succeed in the future? I doubt. When you look at the last item, why is it that our country, 10 years ago, Rwanda was able to hire Professor Ochodo here to go and be the head of ICT? Why is it that when you look at the schools in Rwanda, it is Kenyans who have been teaching, it is Kenyans who have standardized education in Rwanda? The best roads which are being done in Rwanda were done by Kenyan engineers.
True.
What actually happened to us? So I think we need to go back to the drawing board and start asking ourselves, what happened to the quality of our education? What happened to the standardization of our education? And what happened to the manpower building capacity, the capacity building of our manpower to make sure that the education sector continues to churn out individuals who are solid, who have got capacity, who can even be able to correspond in English and Swahili. I get extremely embarrassed when you sit and you're watching on TV and you see an intelligent, smart person who's discussing a very weighty issue and they're not able to speak in our language called Kiswahili. We used to have Swahili as a mandatory subject. That is the subject that used to bring all of us together as a nation. Then what happened to it? Things were removed. You have the syllabus. Right now, you saw the story. There are no textbooks in schools. The teachers don't have teaching material.
They don't have.
What is it? What is it that happened to us as a country? I think we need to go back and start checking out on that.
Right, Kabano.
Yes. You see, this seems to be a report that has come out after some work by the Commission on University Education. So there must be some deeper details. With all due respect, the newspapers are about screaming and splashing for newsworthiness, generally speaking. That's about media. And we are speaking in a media house. I think what...
Careful.
Yeah, I'm very careful. I'm careful not to be excited. I think, like Ali said, it's about the question is deeper. It's about quality. It's not about useless university degree courses. I think that's just a screaming.
No, useless.
Yeah,
So you think useless is a misnomer?
It's in quotes.
It's in quotes, actually.
It's in quotes, but that goes out. Remember, what we are discussing here is actually a national security question. Because the moment you disclaim or you dismiss the product that you are getting from your universities, what communication are you giving to the African states that are seeing Kenya as a center of academia, business, and leadership? What message are you giving the European, the Asian, and the American universities? Let me
But
proceed.
the question will be again,
Let
before
me
you even
proceed.
take that trajectory, if we say that this is a matter of semantics,
No,
even if you put quality,
what I'm trying to say, Dibal, is that the question is more detailed. It's about the following. Number one, we have over-glorified the importance of a degree. To the extent that we think because we are telling our children, you must have a degree by any means. If, so a person who has gone to Kenya Polytechnic and studied for 4 years, these are the people who drew buildings. They had only diplomas and certificates, but their works were very perfect. But now we are trying to scheme everybody into an engineering department that has a capacity of 40 students, but we want to scheme 200 students because everyone must be an engineer. We are scheming every child to law, to do architecture, to go and do medicine. No wonder 80% of students going to Kenya School of Law are not failing the exams. After, of course, before Matiang'i came on board, we are producing 200 out of 300 candidates in one school getting a straight A's, which were very fake. But when streamlining was done, we saw they produced 2 A's. Not because they were failing, but because of getting what they deserve. I think the problem here is about accreditation. Okay? What this, just reading through, what this report is saying is that there are courses that don't have teaching materials and teaching instruments and teaching personnel. Therefore, these courses are considered to be substandard. Then I have seen a comment here that they are saying that a course that does not attract enough students should be considered obsolete. I don't think that should be the way to go, even for the commission. If, for instance, students don't want to do a certain course, many of them, but there are 10 students who want to do that particular course, no course should be scrapped from the curricula of any college or university just because of the numbers. All right? It's about the problems you have had. And let me conclude by bringing this other perspective. I think people should be, when the committee or the education meets, there are questions that they must address that must go beyond political allegiance or the comforts. The moment you are hearing that you want to dump any grade to colleges, you know, that you want people who want to be teachers to be animated with a D+. Yet, with the devolution, we are pumping general resources in all the counties of Kenya, and we have seen a very specific growth in historically marginalized counties in the area of scholarship, in high school and all that, doing even better in terms of bursaries than the old counties that were considered to be ahead of others. Therefore, it's a question of leadership also at the top. It's a question of also, of course, as addressing university status in terms of leadership. There's a report that talked about how we have created universities to be ethnic fiefdoms. Yeah. And as Pogisho Mwalim said, there's moonlighting. You know, I was shocked 3 years ago with a group of students that I know who could not access their credits in one of the oldest universities in Kenya. The question of lost credit in universities is increasing every day. Students go to class, lecturers and all that.
Right.
So, it's leadership.
Right. So,
it's quality.
This is the report. It says that of the 133 unapproved courses, Tom Mboya University has the most at 25. Garissa University and Alupe University have 10 unapproved programs, each while Great Lake University of Kisumu has 8. It says 7 courses were rejected at the Kenya Highlands Evangelical University, while University of Embu, Lukenya University and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology had 6 rejected courses each. CUE rejected 4 of Kenyatta University courses and a similar number of Karatina University. 3 courses were rejected at Moi University. The regulator also turned down placements of students to 5 courses at Turkana University College, 2 at Kabarak University, and a similar number at Kenya Methodist University. And you can see also the lineup of these universities. Some of them have just come up very recently. And when also we had the president also not really giving a directive, but you're advising that we should not be, having more or turning tertiary colleges to universities. Again, we stop at it. But we've raised critical questions because also the Federation of Kenya Employers, they came up with a report and they said also the labor market, people are crying foul that they have to retrain some of our graduates when they enter to the... So the cost over, or the cost of actually retraining again falls to the employer. So is this a question about...
Of course, every graduate, they are normally employed as trainees, maybe for the first 1 year, 2 years. But I think the root cause will not be to train, it's to educate properly. The knowledge...
Fantastic. This is the question that we are asking. So are we having, as they always say, that they're not properly backed? This is half-baked graduates that are coming from the university. They have no soothing idea. Even the research they've done, maybe they took it to a bureau somewhere. They never even sat in classrooms. Some of these doctors that we have who have graduated as well, some of them have not been in classrooms.
You see
where we have... No.
Yeah,
some of the courses they take, it's labor-intensive in terms of you applying yourself to it.
You see, Dibal, we have created a commission for purposes of supervision, inspection, approval. We have universities that are coming up. Majority of these are public universities, not even private universities. And even private universities also are supervised at the same level. You see, because we had talked about standard and quality of the end result. And if that is agreed, then there would never be this problem. And you see, the university must understand that there are strict penalties of going against what is agreed and what has been approved. So when a university then allows a student to pay to go through a course, and then somewhere in between the line, the students don't even know what is approved actually, because they are not the managers of the universities. I'm saying, I think also this is an indictment on the commission itself in terms of its supervisory role. How is it inspecting? Does it have capacity, or what is the problem? And it has to do with that, because coming out with this and telling us that the university has been running without teaching, with you know, so even the commission it takes a very big plank, if you ask me. Yeah.
Let's hear from Shem. We'll come to you.
Yeah, the BAL. It's unfortunate I have to keep coming to the defense of the commission here, because you know, it's like you do it, you're damned. You don't do it, you're damned. I think the fact that something is happening and it's coming out, what I may want to look at is, before a university starts offering certain courses, isn't there a procedure? I'm sure there are guidelines. Did the universities follow the guidelines before they started offering these courses? I think that's the issue I would raise. But maybe even more fundamentally, the quality of our professionals is something that we must narrate. You know, we have mechanical engineers, and yet we still, even spare parts of wheelbarrows, we still have to import. Even matchboxes. We have engineers who are meant to be producing these things. Yes. We have professional managers. Why do you have to import expertise to run Safaricom, to run Kenya Airways? We don't have Kenyans who can do this, and yet there are Kenyans who run similar institutions outside the world, outside the country, in the rest parts of the world. So these are issues that we need to address, and we cannot leave it to the academia alone. Professional bodies must come in. It's in this regard I was very delighted when APSEA, as umbrella body for professional groupings, that's Association of Professional Societies of East Africa, is coming up and saying, look, for certain positions, for people to be in them, we are going to insist they must belong to professional bodies, and those professional bodies must ensure there are standards. Coming from an area where everybody has been an expert, the ICT world, I am glad that a few months ago, there is now a professional ICT body, so that if anybody comes to say that, you know, look, I'm an IT expert, that person has met some very basic requirements to be approved and admitted. And we did agree as members of that society, we're going to be very brutal. That not everybody we see on the screens purporting to be an expert, There must be professional standards that they must meet, so that the people that we produce, you know, if you get this is an agricultural engineer or agricultural economist, you know that's somebody you can respect their verdict. But it can't be the commission alone, it can't be the universities alone. The professional bodies must also play a role.
Right. Onyonka.
Thank you. The issue for me I wanted to raise is there is something fundamentally wrong with the way we are handling our issues domestically, whether it is a matter of corruption. There is a relationship, I believe this, there's a relationship between how a student gets his degree and the quality of education he gets from that university, which then cascades down, for example, to the sector where that student is. I'll give you an example. Ask yourself, how is it that 3 days ago you had more than 60 children dying in a hospital, and nobody, one, is going to be held accountable of it, and chances are nobody's going to say exactly what happened. Look at ourselves as leaders. Dr. Shemwe Chodo and my sister, and my brother Kabando, and I'm not being judgmental here. Look at how many leaders are getting degrees which are fake. Right. We all know they're getting fake degrees. We all know that some of these individuals are not qualified to actually get those degrees, but we laugh it off. Laugh it off. It even goes to court, and the court says, no, this is a matter, in fact, that it's not consequential. Chapter 6 was diluted. Therefore, even if you are not on the list of the graduating class, it doesn't matter. This is the problem with Kenya. That we must be in a position where we demand that if somebody is going to be trained as a doctor, if somebody is going to be trained as a nurse, that person, if they are not able to perform their functions and diligently so, and there are actually errors which they have made, there must be consequences. If the university is producing students that a student is not able to articulate a sentence, to even just discuss a matter, a very simple matter, talk about who are you, and you will find somebody either running from Sheng to English to Swahili and coming back to their mother tongue to express a very simple sentence, who are you? and we are not able to deliver such students? How come we all went to those schools during the older days? And I'm not saying that older days education was better. No, some kids right now are very bright. But I'm saying we messed up with our standardization. We messed up with our education, and we must go back there.
Right. As we're winding up, well, let's hear from also Professor Pogisio. I just wanted to ask you, especially the proliferation of professors in this country, because I think Kenya also has the largest amount of professors in Africa compared to other jurisdictions, and of course even the Western world as well. Why is this? Is it because we're more educated, or because the filter is not as tight that we have, a proliferation of these professors? Right now also we have this obsession with the PhDs as well. And I think that also is a critical debate. Maybe you could just inform us on what is happening with the PhDs, and this also sparked a row also amongst the lecturers as well.
Well, first of all, let me agree with everybody that where we probably would say that we began to lose, where the rain started to beat us, was in our lower education, our secondary education particularly, when students were just passed, and you found students getting A's, and therefore mandatory, those students had to become doctors, those students had to become engineers and so on. So they bring their failure rates, they bring their whatever, substandard minds, or whatever it was, to your profession. And so today, you worry about that. And so they must progress. Some of them, of course, progress to do PhDs. But there is a lax in universities because we need PhDs to teach. And so I think we've lowered the standards so that we can have more PhDs to teach. On professorships...
So you've lowered the standards?
I'm sure we've lowered the standard. And in fact, there's a rating of universities, the international rating of universities, and you'll find that most of our universities don't make it to that list. Because it's true. If you don't publish... If you don't publish internationally, you're not even recognized anyway. So whether you have a professor, title professor, which is so many now, professor and professor, if you are not published, you can't even be called to do to become a visiting professor or to become an external examiner.
So most of the professors we have in this country, they're not published.
They don't publish.
They're not published according to international standards. They don't actually, they're not really up to scratch.
Debal, allow me to share some statistics.
We're supposed to be winding up right now.
The Third World Academy of Sciences 2 years ago produced a report on publications, scholarly publications globally. It turned out that Africa's share is only 2%. Okay? Only 2%. Of that 2%, 70% is only from two countries, South Africa and Egypt. 2% only from those two countries. The question you ask then, where are the Kenyan professors, doctors, and other professionals? Where are we? This is an issue that is so serious that we need to address.
They're not writing.
It boils down to lack of merit. Because, when we also have political doctors, political professors, this is why it's important. And for me, I'm glad CUE Commission is starting to do something. I'm hoping the Committee of Parliament will also work with them and also bring in other intellectuals and so on to clean the education system, because this is so important. But allow me also, the fact that training for labor is also an issue that we need to address. In academic terms, you not only train for the labor market. Of course, a certain number would be targeting the labor market. But in terms of knowledge generation, there are things that, nanotechnology, nuclear science, and engineering, and so on, the future that you need to go into, even if they're not for labor. But lastly, Onyonka was talking
we need to be winding up now. We need to be winding up.
Yeah, but I was
please,
for the sake.
just prepare your headline thoughts.
Yes.
Maybe you'll add up to your headline thoughts.
Okay.
30 seconds, yes.
For the sake of this country, we talked about being proactive and dealing with the conflicting things. This is one area that we need to deal with and clean up. And for purposes of helping our parents, those courses which are called useless, can the universities at least remove them from their lists so that we don't have to admit students to them, so that people don't just think they exist? And QE should insist, if they have not been approved, they should not be on your lists. And then that's basically to help our students.
Thank you.
And then finally, just on the issue that I said, let us not ignore what's going on between the Pokot and the Turkana at Kainuk, where security is being breached all the time.
Thank you.
And I just want to say to the leaders in these places, rhetoric will not help us, because the political rhetoric is actually ruining it.
Thank you.
And let's be careful.
Thank you. 30 seconds, Alice Wahome, your headline thoughts.
I would want to see a situation where Parliament takes its role in terms of oversight over this issue and those other issues that we are talking about at a more serious level, because you look, even the question of the Mijingos, the Somalia question, I think Parliament can weigh in, and I think it's time for Parliament to exercise its oversight role in the right direction.
Right, Dr. Shema Ochodho.
There was an indictment this past week of the Supreme Court ruling about degrees we are talking about, of a governor.
Yes.
And the Supreme Court of all the institutions saying that it didn't matter that this guy didn't have a degree, but he behaved like he had. Then you wonder where the rule of law went.
He behaved like he had.
There was contrary opinion recorded by the Chief Justice and Justice Leona Ola.
Yeah.
I really, this is something that
Where are we going?
we need. I mean, we can't allow it to happen. It was wrong.
It was wrong. Thank you. Samuel Pogiso.
I was just going to say
30 seconds.
Thank you very much.
You give your...
No,
you did.
but-
Thank you.
But weighing in on the same.
No.
I support.
Let's have Omonyonka.
I
You support.
I just
Yeah?
have 2 words. Number one, I think we need to handle Somalia much more carefully, and we are neighbors. Let the government figure out how to sort out the problem. And surely our education system, if we don't fix it now, it might end up being too late to fix it tomorrow.
Right. Lastly,
Would
Kabano.
say
Kabano.
that, for the newspapers, it will be helping the country if they pick an issue like the way the People has done.
Show us the People daily.
On the People daily,
Yeah.
the DCI closes in on CSEs in 9 billion shillings.
Show
bribe claims.
it to that camera 7.
Yeah, that's is a very serious thing. And I think for each of the papers, and Daily Nation used to do it, pick an issue, serialize it, go into detail, you may prompt. Again, you see the Star producing an issue on the Chase Bank. Kenyans have committed suicide, others are in stress or depression because their monies have been sunk in Chase Bank, in Imperial Bank. Is an important editorial direction that I think every station can take to go. And surprise of surprises, you know, Dibal, Kenya celebrates that we are an independent country. On page 1 of the Daily Nation is about Dedan Kimathi. 2 full pages dedicated to that. How I wish we had some time to even talk about it.
Thank you.
And it's good to celebrate that.
Thank you.
Dedan Kimathi is a Nelson Mandela of Kenya in terms of the liberation struggle and what we are enjoying as a country. And the fact that today is a day the colonialists hanged this great man of Kenya is a day that should be discussed more in media houses, should be talked about.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Next time come early so that now you can have a whole time now to actually finish up your points. Kamano, thank you very much nonetheless. We really do appreciate your cogent discussion this morning, and of course a raft of issues coming up. We've not really covered even the political state of the country as it has been last week, but I think that's a pertinent issue that they've been on the headlines today. And